Chapter 29. I. When the sky started to lighten, the others had wanted to wake Jacob to steer the ship. The next island had appeared in the distance. She had glanced at him snoring softly on the deck and refused. If the human could do it, it can't be that hard, thought. And the humans had to listen to her because she was the first mate. They didn't argue as she unfurled the bottom piece of the sail and started to position it to catch the wind. She made sure to always position herself so she could keep an eye on the new humans, but they mostly just sat with their legs dangling out onto the bamboo bundles. The one with slanted eyes looked old and feeble. She imagined she could easily throw that one overboard without too much effort. The giant one was a different story. He was definitely fat, but she had seen him lift that log back on Gant Island. He was the dangerous one. Luckily, he seemed really lazy and slow. Still, she doubted she could take him on head to head and decided if he made a move, she would have to jump off the raft. She shifted her position slightly so she had a clear path to the water. The sea was calm, the sky was overcast, and the wind was gentle, but steady. With the current helping them along, she was able to keep them on course. As they grew closer, she was able to see the bright orange of the escape raft. 30 minutes later, when the dumb big human finally noticed it, he got excited and started talking about the other humans. Apparently, he remembered 6 more that had been on it when he last saw them. 6 more humans? God drown it, he thought. They better not be planning on using their raft. They didn't have the space. Ina was not sharing with that many. When they landed, Lou and Manu had jumped down onto the beach and called out, summoning 2 new humans from the brush. They started excitedly speaking with each other. Ina took the mooring vine and put it around a big rock nearby. Without me, the raft would just float away, she scowled. When was Jacob waking up? Raft secured, she jumped back on the raft and decided she would keep guard until Jacob woke up. Just a few minutes later, the 2 new humans approached. The male with white hair spotted the vines and became far too animated, inspecting them. The female had a light tan with strange patterned lines across her arm and medium-length black hair. Black hair. It can be that color? Ina started focusing on the hair. It had completely different physics at that length than Jacob's short hair. The way it tangled and twisted around itself. She started taking mental notes. She started getting the urge to touch it. Then the woman looked at her and smiled. Ina broke off her stare immediately and looked away. This the captain? He looks like shit. Ina was thinking about the strange man in the raft. What was wrong with him? She wanted to ask, but wasn't sure what ALS was and didn't know if she was supposed to. Apparently, he couldn't move any part of his body except his eyes. But how could you live like that? She thought about how much of a burden it would be to bring him on the raft. He wouldn't be able to contribute at all. She decided he would not be allowed on the crew. Wait, did we vote on new crew members? We better, he thought. The dark-haired woman could join, though, at least until Ina had studied her hair properly. As they cut across the outer edge of the atoll to the inner, Ina saw some song bees meandering around looking for jelly flowers. When Ina had explored here before, she had been fascinated by them. The bees were able to buzz at different tones and use them to communicate. The jelly flowers consisted of a spiral of deep blue petals surrounding an oval green bud. The bees would approach the jelly flowers and start buzzing a certain tone, and then the bud would slowly unfurl, revealing a clear, slightly blue-tinged jelly that they would feed on and gather. When she first discovered these, she went around to the jelly flowers on her own and forced some to open by hand. When she did, the jelly was deep blue, and when she tried some, it had tasted extremely sour and made her sick, causing her to vomit. After observing the bees, She tried to emulate them and eventually was able to hum the same tone they used. When the flowers opened on their own from her humming, the jelly actually tasted different. It was sweeter with only a hint of the sourness from before. She didn't see any of the jelly flowers around, but she started humming a bit anyways. Slowly, some of the song bees fluttered over to listen, one perching on her shoulder. Soon they emerged from the trees and could now see the whole lagoon. Sheltered from the rest of the ocean, it was like a giant turquoise lake. In the center was a small island with a tall grouping of rocks that water flowed down from. The area just around the base of the island was filled with this water as a white stone retaining wall had been erected, turning it into a natural fountain. Extending out from this was a honeycomb pattern of partially submerged, open-aired enclosures that seemed to allow the ocean water to freely flow through. Each one had a small pedestal rising out of the water that was deeply concave. There was a path of stones leading from one part of the atoll across to the center island, so you could cross without swimming. They would need to walk a few minutes to get them, though. Jessica had pointed them out to Jacob and then fallen back toward Ina, who was bringing up the rear. Ina stopped humming and the song bees left as she approached and smiled. Hey, you're Ina, right? Wow, those bees really like you. You know, they attacked us the first day here after Brennan riled them up. Seems like you figured out the trick, though. Ina just stared at her. She wasn't sure what the human wanted. Jessica waited for a moment, but when Ina didn't speak, she continued. Nice dress. It looks familiar. Ina looked down at her sundress. Huh? Did you get that out of luggage from the plane? I think it's mine. See that wine stain on the sleeve? I could never get it out. Ina looked at the sleeve. There was a faint purple discoloration. She didn't know what wine was, though, and wasn't going to ask. Then Ina's eyebrows furrowed. Was this human going to try to take the dress? If she thought she was going to... Hey, you can keep it. It looks better on you anyways. Ina relaxed. Look, Jacob told me you lost your parents on the plane. I'm sorry to hear that. She seemed sincere. Thanks? Then Jessica moved in front of her slightly and slowed down, pulling them back a bit from the rest of the group. She dropped her voice a bit quieter. They been treating you okay? Nobody acting weird or creepy? Ina wanted to laugh. All humans were weird. Was this a test? They treat me fine and are just like normal humans. Jessica looked at her oddly. Drown it. Jacob warned her humans don't call other humans humans. Okay, well, if they do start to get weird, let me know and I'll set them straight, okay? Then she lowered her voice even quieter. Have you had any issues with managing your periods? It's okay, I'm a nurse. Periods? Nurse? She seems concerned, though. No, the periods are managing fine. Thank you. Jessica looked at her oddly again. Okay. Well, if you need help with any of that, let me know. I found a plant here with leaves that are pretty absorbent. Jessica gave her another smile. Ina just stared at her. Well, nice to meet you, Ina. We'll chat more later. Jessica left to go back up front to talk to Jacob. Ina hoped that she didn't. She had a lot of questions for Jacob. As they got closer to the stepping stones, Ina's eyes were drawn to the island in the middle. Someone was in the sacred pool. It had to be one of the humans. This was bad. Humans stank, and if any passing Naga caught their scent exiting the lagoon in the channel, she jogged up to the front. Jacob! He turned. The dumb people are in the pool. Remember, Ob said the Naga would attack if they caught us using it. Oh, shit. All right. Let's go get him out. Okay. Everybody out of the water now, said Jacob. In this case, everybody was an old Asian man and a middle-aged blonde woman. They were actually cleaning themselves, rubbing their filth off in the pool. Disgusting. Who are you? A younger, muscular Asian man with tattoos covering his shirtless torso stepped up to Jacob, staring him down. Relax, Shen. This is Jacob, Captain Jacob. He was in the plane crash. He just got here on a raft. He says we are in danger from the fish people. And these fish people will attack if they see you all in the water. Apparently this place was built by them, said Jessica. Ina didn't like the way the Asian man was staring down Jacob, or the fact that he was holding a club-like branch at his side. Easy, Shen. I'm almost done. Just need a few more minutes anyways. The older man continued to rub his shoulder. Shen took a half step back, but kept staring as Lu and Manu showed up. She saw Manu walk over next to Jacob and smile at Shen. Hey bros, what's up? We're here to the rescue. Jessica walked over to the blonde and helped her out of the pool. Then they all waited as the old Asian continued to wash himself. He seemed unconcerned about the warning, and despite the fact that he said he would be done soon, he showed no signs of stopping. Ina started tapping her foot impatiently. She looked at Jacob, who was just waiting. After another minute, she'd had enough. Okay, old man, that's enough. Get out now. Everyone looked at her, including the old man, who laughed and just kept rubbing himself. Nobody moved to do anything. Are you all serious? He's putting everybody at risk. She looked at Jacob, who seemed to take a deep breath before chiming in. Yeah, she's right. Nakamura, we need to go. It's not safe. Jacob went to move around Shen. He'll go when he's ready, said Shen, stepping into Jacob's path. Jacob looked at Ina and shrugged. The dirty old human just kept going. He seemed to be enjoying the drama he was causing. It was profane. This was a fountain of Azrea. He was sullying it. Everyone was letting it happen. Her tapping foot nudged a rock, and she got an idea. She glanced around. Some had started their own side conversations while they waited. Nobody cared. She bent down and picked up the rock. As she glanced around again, she saw Lu had seen her, but he said nothing and winked at her. She knew this would cause problems, but it had to be done. She aimed. She fired. The golf ball-sized rock sailed through the air. She had been aiming for his upper back. Her aim was off. It crunched into the side of his head. White bitch! The old man shouted and started scrambling out of the pool. Shen moved toward her, but Lu was in his path. It looked like Shen was going to hit him for a moment, but then he looked around at Jacob and Manu, and his hand fell back to his side. I want her punished. That's assault. As he rubbed his head, his hand came back bloody. Jessica went over and took a look. You'll be fine. I'll take another look back at camp. Hey, she did ask nicely. I'll talk to her sternly, said Jacob with a serious look. The old man looked around at everyone, then grunted and started walking away. Shen followed him. As the tension diffused, Shen and Nakamura headed back across the stepping stones first. Jacob walked over towards her. Did he not understand how much danger that old human was putting everyone in? The defilement? If he thinks he's going to chastise me for that... Hey, Jacob lowered his voice. Thanks for doing that. I was too nervous to get physical with the people we just met. That old man is an idiot. I don't think you should be drawing attention to yourself like that, though, but it's my fault for not doing anything. Ina exhaled a breath she didn't even realize she was holding in. Next time you feel like something needs to be done, just, make a rock symbol in your hand and make sure I see it. Jacob made a fist. like this. And I guess if we have that, then we should have a signal for don't do anything. Jacob made his hand flat like a piece of paper. Do this when we don't want to act, okay? Ina nodded. Shen and Nakamura had already made it across. The others were waiting at the path for them. Manu gave her a big smile. Come on, bro. Let's get out of here. Maybe some humans were okay, Ina thought. As they started across the stones, a horn echoed across the lagoon. They're here, Ina said, and started striding across the stones. She looked back at the others. Run!